few people knew, but we had deliberately decided not to let people know that this show was taking place. Probably it didn't work, and there were a few mistakes, and the news leaked out, and those sort of things happened. But by and large, that was a strategic decision. We needed to get international media involved, so we let international media know, but we put an embargo on the news. So when we sent out the news, we had said that you must not publish it before the 16th of March. And that timing was also done with a particular calculation. We worked out what sort of delay time there is before the government begins to respond. We wanted the news to get out, we needed to get publicity out, but we didn't want to give sufficient time for the government to react to prevent us from actually holding the show in the first place. In a sense, that worked because they started calling us close to midday on the day of the exhibition, not earlier. Whereas New York Times, they all had the material. New York Times brought out, our embargo was till the 16th of March, and they brought it out on their blog at 12:01 on the 16th of March. That was pre-planned as well. BD News 24 brought it out, wanted to, there was a slight delay, brought it out at 12:05, 16th of March. So these were planned sequences that were incorporated into the program. What we haven't done, and I think we should have done, is to look at what we would do once this happened. And that hadn't been worked out sufficiently. I consider that to be a serious lapse which we need to take on. And one of the things we're now looking at is actually developing a strategic plan in terms of post-blockade action.
Right.
Yeah? And that needs to be worked out. The point is, so much of our energy went into this that we didn't get into that at that point. But it needs to be done, and that is now what we're doing in terms of what the law actually states, who the lawyers will be if they represent us, what the communication with the media might be, and the sort of things that Abir and other people are talking about. While I was coming in, I was actually also thinking that maybe there could be other exhibitions based on the exhibition that doesn't exist. So actually forcing the hand of the government to come up with, okay, they might stop one exhibition, block one, I'll come to you. But what if there's 100 exhibitions all over the country? You know, what do they do? How do they respond to it? So developing a strategy for activism as much as a strategy for art. That's all I was getting at. Please, Abhi.
I have a different question. Like when the China exhibition, the Tibet exhibition had been postponed, did you or Drake do something about the legal aspects, or did you try to find any rules particularly for happening exhibitions?
Actually, it was the China exhibition helped us for this, and we were able to take into account some of it. There was a complication there in relative terms, and that is when we later found out that in terms of the China exhibition, there were debates about the people who'd organized the exhibitions themselves. That was one. The other very, very important factor there was the absence of the organizers in the China exhibition. In this case, we were the organizers, we were there, we were visible, we were doing it. In the case of the China exhibition, well, the Tibet exhibition, that was completely absent. So this was a departure based on the sort of things you're talking about.
I was just going to mention one weakness that I have found that has to do from a curator's point of view. And this is something that I hadn't had a chance to talk to you, but I would like to introduce it. Once, when you publish a brochure, after the event of the exhibition subsides or is not as intense as it is now, the brochure is the only thing that remains as a document of what an exhibition was, as well also all the press clippings that have to do with the event. But the brochure itself can be perhaps the best way to document the artistic element pertaining the exhibition or the items, the elements that were in the show. And this brochure is lacking in one respect, which is a very, very important respect. And this is something that can be obviously brochure as it stands today. So I do hope that the brochure can be corrected to include images of the Google map and of what the Google map comprises as information related to extrajudicial killings by RAB. That is obviously something that can be easily corrected, and in fact, you can have two different versions of the brochure. I think it should be, we should aim at having another brochure with the Google
In the
map.
double page, it would be great.
Yes.
In the central double page,
Yes.
and where there's a place.
This is important for you to understand. Even before the police intervened or the government intervened, the Google map should have been on the brochure. But that is something that escaped all of us, I think.
I want to attract your attention again. Now that we are talking and discussing this this exhibition, he appears, and again he has a very strong presence and a way of defending what he was doing or explaining what he was doing, what is very important. And there we have to go back to the importance of his person in this work, no? More in a performative way. And what I think is interesting is that we really have to pay attention by analyzing this, that him talking and speaking about this issue and his position in this issue is very important. And then the form that was produced to state maybe can be rethought given the setting that we could observe all over the last, I don't know, 5 days. I think this is what is interesting about it. I would suggest that we do a small break now, 5 to 10 minutes, and then we come back and we...
Unless there are any
questions or comments, or if you want we can also keep the comments and questions for afterwards. So we do some questions and comments and then we 5-minute break. So 5-minute break and then we do the question and comments and then Ito will present her work. The critique, you can say whatever you want. He will not hate you, he will not judge you. So please go ahead. Who has questions and who has comments?
Pre-informed of the situation in terms of whether we needed to take legal action, who the plaintiff would be, who would be signing it, the strategy, and also in the case of putting together not only a database of media activists, but a database of legal activists who could act in our favor. So that's currently happening. It's a learning process. And go away immediately after the situation.
So how do you plan on informing people that it's still okay to enter the exhibition and to go past the police?
A very valid point. I've actually just had a note from some people who came in from Chittagong to see the show and not allowed to come in. We haven't done it yet. I think the mode of the fact is we can't actually allow them to come in at the moment. So the only way in which we can do it is surreptitiously, and obviously that's not something you can advertise. So that has to be more contained. But I think one of the ways to do it is to first inform people of what's happening in real time and have a plan B in terms of what happens with the show.
Right, so have you got like a newsletter or anything for people linked to the news?
We do have a newsletter, and actually it's been viral. Facebook has been very effective.
Yeah. Okay.
Also working quite well, but someone has to take charge of it. It's someone physically around who can do it. Maybe next time we need to actually have someone who manages this situation, manages the information. Fariha is doing some of that now, but she's of course been involved in other aspects of the show. What we probably need is someone who's dedicated to that and nothing else.
We're just now speaking about the aftermath of the exhibition. I want to pull the students back to throw a critical eye on the form of the exhibition that was